time to start the FTN show.
Hey everybody, welcome to Forge the Narrative. My name is Paul Murphy, your host. This is episode 224, I believe. It's hard to say, maybe 223 part B. I don't know. We had the internet chop out on us for the last show. I got Chris Morgan and Justin Troop.
What's up?
There's a change in the air.
And Ricky Addington.
I know nothing about Thousand Suns, but I'm excited.
We will be bringing more Custodes content to you guys in the form of either posts on the internet on our Facebook page or through live streams that maybe Chris Morgan and I may do around the time that you're hearing this. But we are going to talk about Codex 1000 Suns. It's not
Ricky,
even one.
you gave it away too soon. Like Paul's build-up didn't feel as good. You just put it out there.
Let's be honest.
I'm
Did
upset.
anybody not know that this was coming? Like it was about to happen. I mean,
it's not 1,000 Suns. It's just 1,000 Suns. I know. Yeah. I know.
To be fair, I didn't know it was coming.
Well, there were 1,000 of them because they're all like, whatever. We're not getting. It's not a lore discussion.
Listen. All right, I was just about ready to step in here, and you start talking about. You can't tease me like that, Paul Murphy.
You triggered him. You pulled the trigger.
Stand down, Morgan. Stand down.
Oh man! Hopefully you guys have seen on Twitter and our Facebook. I actually put together a couple of the Custodes, and the size of these figures is of epic proportion. You feel like they are one-man armies.
I cannot tell you how close you were to ruining a friendship when you sent me the pictures of you doing that too. Like that was twisting a knife to me.
Well, people are tuning into this one to talk about 1,000 Suns, and I want to jump right to Magnus the Red. Magnus the Red, he's on lots of tables right now in the tournament scene.
If I'm honest, it's too many tables because I feel like the rest of Tzeentch isn't getting the love that they're due for being one of my favorite chaos gods. I'd like to see more than just Magnus, so I'm hoping with this book we're going to see more than just Magnus.
Magnus the Red has gone up to 445 points.
It's a good increase.
Yeah.
So what is that? It's like a 15% increase or something like that. I haven't done. That's just quick. That's top of the head math.
Yeah, it wasn't over the top, but
yes, it's about right. Yeah.
What was the in the index?
What,
index is 415. 415. Yeah. So now he's 445. Yeah.
Yeah. So what? A 30-point increase?
Yep.
So that's not crazy, but that will matter with how he fits in the current list right now. So let's just take that in mind. He has lots of good rules still. He has the damage table that goes from wounds of 10 wounds to 18 wounds, so got 18 wounds. And he is at top capacity, his top chart. He has still the +2 for psychic phase bonuses. That's to deny and to cast. So still very significant. He still has the Gates of Magnus. When Magnus the Red manifests Smite powers, he inflicts D6 mortal wounds instead of D3, or 2D6 mortal wounds instead of D6 if the result of the test is 11 or more. So still very potent.
Does it say 11 or more or 10 or more?
More than 11.
Okay, because in the index here it says roll of a 10 or more.
Oh, well, that has changed then. It says that the D6 result of the psychic test is more than 11.
So if it's a 12.
Only on a 12 then.
Or more,
so, I mean,
technically.
He could roll a 10, and if he's got the +2, that's a 12.
So that is a change. That is definitely a change. This guy has gone through a little bit of a metamorphosis. I don't want to overuse the word change. We might say that a lot with abilities and stuff. But the Primarch of the 1,000 Suns rule has changed a bit. So you can reroll hit rolls of 1 and any die rolls of 1 that are made as part of the psychic test for friendly 1,000 Suns units within 9 inches of Magnus the Red. So
yeah, there's something very important missing from that sentence.
So rerolling invulnerable saves of 1 is not part of his profile.
Boom.
Wow.
I know that's going to make some people pretty happy. It's going to make some other people, i.e. the people that plagued Magnus, fairly unhappy, which is why it's best we talk about it right now.
We are dropping knowledge bombs on the 1,000 Suns, folks.
Getting a little bit of that rubric dust built up on some of those models now, huh?
I bet some space force out there just let out an Aru,
Yeah.
All right, so he went up in points and took a bit of a nerf. So okay,
a little bit less survivable. I mean, that's not a huge impact.
Well, it is.
It's
really
pretty big.
He has an invulnerable save still, but not re-rolling ones on his invulnerable save is. I mean, that's pretty significant. That adds a high degree of, when you're re-rolling, try to get a 3+, that adds a lot to his survivability. So Magnus the Red has a 4+ invulnerable save. In addition, roll a d6 whenever Magnus suffers a mortal wound as a result of the perils of the warp. On a roll of 2+, that wound is ignored.
Okay, that's new.
So he's not going to be busting himself up as much, but he's also losing some of that durability. He does, again, have the 4+ invulnerable save.
How do you buff it to the 3+?
Well, okay.
Is there still a way to do that in the book?
I believe so, yes. There are 3 psychic trees in this book. There's the Discipline of Change, the Dark Hereticus, and the Discipline of Tzeentch. And he does have the ability to warp time himself, for sure. And let's go and read the base rule of Thousand Suns. Because the further you commit to everything or whatever. The base rule is death to the false emperor, and they get demonic ritual. And then the commit rule, when you go and take a detachment of Thousand Suns, is the Brotherhood of Sorcerers. The range of all psychic powers manifested by units with this ability are increased by 6 inches. That's what it takes to go that extra mile. He also has a bespoke warlord trait. Now, this is a lot of people have been taking the 6+ feel no pain out of the book. Now, Magnus the Red has the Lord of Forbidden Lore, which is a warlord trait of of Thousand Suns. Your warlord knows 1 additional psychic power. So he's kind of taken.
That's big.
The edges have kind of been knocked off this guy.
There's some of the things that were about him in the phase that we've seen him recently on the tables, and he was just kind of a touch too much for a lot of players to deal with. And now I feel like he still has a toolkit that the higher level players are still going to be able to utilize in the same fashion that they're utilizing now. But now it's not going to feel so dominating to the field as a whole. Well, I like those changes.
The Discipline of Change has a Weaver of Fates psychic power. This Weaver of Fates is a warp charge value of 6. If manifested, select a Thousand Suns unit within 18 inches of the psyker until the start of your next psychic phase. The invulnerable save of that unit is improved by 1 to a maximum of 3+.
Okay. So, I mean, 3+ invulnerable on a high toughness model is still fantastic.
It's good. He's gonna live a long time.
Yeah. It's gonna come down to, in many cases, just the fact that he's so big and targetable. And anybody that has those long range shooting weapons, the las cannons, the plasma weapons from Dark Angels or something that's doing like 3 damage or whatever it is, right? They're still going to be a threat on the first turn before he can get his power off. I think he's still going to be dangerous. Now, what I think also is because of these changes, he's going to be less of you're playing Thousand Suns, so you've just got a detachment of Magnus.
You're probably right about that. And I do like the fact that the Primarchs should not be auto-include if you happen to be playing that faction.
Yeah, I think the people that care more about their faction and these Primarchs are going to be still playing them despite the changes. But in terms of the crazy hair-splitting min-maxing, I can see him tapering out a little bit.
I also don't want to say that I don't. There's nothing wrong with people who take powerful models just because they're big and powerful and cool. Because this is an awesome figure, and I would want to play with it.
Yeah, I don't want to see less Magnus as a whole. I just want people, when they're taking him, to understand why they're using him now versus why they were using him before. Now he's got a bigger role now. He's definitely more of a general with the extra psychic ability. Some of these extra buffs that he's got with the 6-inch range and things like that. There's certain things about him that's going to be used in different ways, and I like that change or the dynamic of how he's going to be playing on the field.
He does have 19 psychic powers to choose from now, with each one of the disciplines plus smite. And in addition to that Weaver of Fates, if a model that did not have an invulnerable save would gain a 5+ invulnerable save, so it wouldn't just be stacking a 6 on somebody.
Yeah, that's big. Like, so many little things that are just altered slightly. Just they have me pretty excited for it. I might actually buy a Magnus now.
Great model. I mean, there's no getting around it. The 3 disciplines, if I didn't mention them, Change, Dark Hereticus discipline, and then Discipline of Tzeentch. The warp time still exists in the Dark Hereticus discipline. It's not like where it was in the Demon Codex, where Be'lakor had a truncated version of this psychic tree. A full psychic tree for Dark Hereticus is in this book.
Well, I feel like that's a very sensible choice, even just from a thematic point of view. Sorry, got to forge that narrative real fast. And these guys are, the ultimate Psyker Chaos Marines. They should have options.
Well, I think Magnus is basically a true sorcerer lord, someone that's supposed to know secrets that no one knows, powers and spells and whatever that no one knows. I think it's cool that they have all these options to him.
Yeah, I mean, even as a Dark Angels player, I'm not faulting that the Thousand Suns player for having 19 powers to choose from.
It's a lot.
I'm just glad we don't have to roll for psychic powers anymore. Can I just?
Lord, that would take forever.
That's a good point. Now you say that, but I was actually talking to a buddy who was getting back into it. And he was talking about playing the game and how he called me on the phone. He was just lamenting about how he rolled the wrong psychic powers to be able to compete in this game. I was like, why were you rolling?
Nobody told him.
I like it. Stick to the guns. Keep doing it.
That's what 30K is for, folks.
I said, buddy, you could just pick, dude. He's like, what? I'll call you back.
It's probably his opponent just not even telling him. His opponent watched him roll those dice.
No, he was playing against another person that was getting back in. That's one of the joys of like 8th is that it's so approachable now, right?
Yeah.
So he's playing against another guy who was just getting back into the trying to win games mode for 8th. And they both did it. They both rolled their psychic powers.
I love it. You know what? I'm going to roll my psychic powers from now on, just for you, buddy.
Do it.
So in this book, there's also things like that aren't in the Death Guard book as far as unit choices, like Helldrakes and Mauler Fiends, or you can take them as part of the Thousand Suns list.
That's going to be good with some of these combos.
Yeah, and let me tell you, there are no Havocs. There are no Thousand Suns Havocs, just like there are no Death Guard Havocs.
Man.
And how weird is that? Why are there no Death Guard Havocs?
Maybe the barrels decayed too much.
I guess. But their whole chapter tactic or Legion tactic is moving and firing heavy weapons. Look, I don't want to go off on that subject. All I know is I was building my Adepticon army and was like really disappointed there were no Death Guard Havocs.
Yeah, it's a little unfortunate.
But there are also no Death Guard Mauler Fiends, but there are Thousand Suns Mauler Fiends and Helldrakes.
That is very interesting. I still remember my buddy Ryan, like right after we had recorded the Death Guard preview episode, he put up a picture of this beautifully converted Helldrake for his Death Guard, and I just cried a little bit on the inside because it was just it was beautiful in that Nurgle way so it was like horrendously ugly but incredibly well done. Beautiful hobby project, tons of customization, like all this stuff that he did to it, and there were no Helldrakes. And I didn't have the heart to tell him after the Codex came out. I just let him find out on his own.
Yeah, as someone who owns several Nurgle Helldrakes and Mauler Fiends.
Yeah. Do I got to repaint all mine now?
I'm not doing it. All my Chaos stuff is basically Nurgle. It's just painted greenish.
I'll throw like a blue panel in there somewhere.
So there's also new units in here in the form of Zangors. So the Zangors they were originally created, I think they came out in Silver Tower, the game Silver Tower first.
Yes.
Which is a fabulous game. If you're playing with people who don't miniature game, but you still want to move around miniatures, play Silver Tower with your buddies.
Or the other one. What's the other one called again?
What's the expansion? There's an expansion essentially for
it. Kind of, but you can pick it up and play it on its own as well. And I can never remember the name of that.
It comes with a bunch of figures.
Yeah, remember it's Warhammer Quest, and then you've got Shadows over Hammerhall and Silver Tower.
Yeah, that's it. Okay, so yes, but the Zangors were in that originally. Then we got some like bolt pistol chainsword Zangors, and now the Zangors are full on in the Thousand Suns book, and that includes the Zangors that are on like the disc and stuff.
So, what kind of special rules do they have for this specific entry?
Let's go with the Zangor Enlightened, and this is it contains 1 Aviarch and 2 Enlightened. It can include 3 additional Enlightened and up to 6 additional Enlightened for power rating. It's how it works. You can include X amount for certain power rating, certain amount for whatever. Each model is armed with a divining spear. They ride Disc of Tzeentch, which attack with their blades. They are movement 12, 2 wounds apiece, 2 attacks apiece, 3 attacks with the sergeant dudes, essentially. And they have a 5+ invulnerable save.
That's pretty good. Good movement. You're getting a decent amount of attacks, so that's a good harassing move forward and start pushing pressure.
They have a Guided by Fate rule. Each time you make a hit roll of 6+ for a model in this unit, do not make a wound roll for the attack. It is automatically successful. Saving throws may be attempted against these attacks as normal.
That's pretty nice.
Yeah, they're strength 4. They have the spear, which is +1 strength. Damage of this weapon is increased to 2 on a turn in which the bearer has charged. So they're not bad.
Yeah, pretty
AP
good.
neg 1, +1 strength, bring them up to strength 5, damage 1. On the turn they charge is damage 2.
I like it. What's their point cost?
That's a good question. They also have a Fate Caster Great Bow, which is Assault 2, Strength 5, -1 AP, Damage 1.
Neat.
So with Zengor Enlightened, they are 15 points apiece.
That's a steal. I'm running like 100 of them.
That doesn't sound too bad. They do have 2 wounds apiece.
For 2 wounds, yeah.
15 points for 2 wounds.
I can see it.
Get out of my way, Death Company.
Yeah.
I don't think that's enough wounds to withstand a charge from Death Company, even with all your 5+ invulnerables.
I'm just saying they're going to charge you.
Yeah, all models in this unit will replace their Divining Spear with a Chainsword and Auto Pistol or a Fatecaster Great Bow. So there are some additional point cost for the weapon upgrades.
Okay. Yeah, that doesn't seem bad though. I mean, that's a generous point cost for a fast moving, pretty hard hitting assault unit.
The Fatecaster Great Bow is 2 points apiece.
Oh, that's a steal.
Nah, that kills it for me. Nope.
The Divining Spear is 1 point apiece.
All right, now we're just getting ridiculous.
Yeah, that puts their points just out of reach, you know.
Hello, Death Company.
17
Death
points
Company's
apiece.
back, baby.
They do have a 6+ armor save, so therefore they could benefit from cover, and things above cover, I suppose.
Yeah.
But they do have the 5+ invulnerable save, which is all the time.
And the best part about it too is these are really awesome looking models. So you're going to be able to field like a good chunk of them and not take up a lot of points. So aesthetically, now your army looks that much better.
Yeah, I used to get so frustrated seeing like that the Chaos players in our community, or at least in my community, they would just use the same army for Age of Sigmar and 40k and just switch out like 2 models. And I don't know if it was jealousy or what. Yeah, they would always play like half of my community is Chaos Demons, and I just see the same armies for both games, but I'm kind of excited about it with Thousand Suns because the Tzeentch models are so cool. I love all the new Tzeentch models that came out when their book came out in Sigmar, and now we get to see them in 40k too. I think they're so cool and so unique, and I'm excited to see them on the table.
The Scarab Occult Terminators have the All is Dust rule. Is add 1 to the saving throw for Scarab Occult Terminators if the attack damage characteristic is 1.
So same as the Rubric Marines.
Yeah, I think it's the same. In addition, for the -1 modifier to hit rolls for moving and shooting with heavy weapons do not apply to Scarab Occult Terminators. So there's Soul Reaper Cannon, the Hellfire Missile Rack, and I guess the Heavy Warp Flamer. Although that hits automatically, they would not get the -1.
Well, there you go. That's why they don't have Havocs.
Yeah, we need to talk about the most important part here. That is one of the best looking units in 40k.
You think so?
Yeah.
That model's sick, yeah.
Oh my god, the Scarab Occult Terminators almost had me like a lifelong Dark Angels player almost started playing some Chaos when those things came out.
Okay.
I'm still more in love with the 30k Thousand Sun sculpts, if I'm being 100% honest.
You would be.
You beat me to it. But golly, I love those. The Occult Terminators are fantastic.
The 30k ones can actually walk through doors without hitting their heads on the door frame. That's all I'm saying.
They go through the door frame.
That door frame's coming down. They don't care.
Have you seen 40k door frames? They're like made of metal and crap.
Pretty solid. They're not getting through the Manifatorum Factinocious.
I don't know what just happened.
Dude, but seriously, like, look at the detail on those Terminators. Those things are amazing.
So the Mutolith Vortex Beast.
Yes.
This is that big Sigmar model.
Or
it was never Sigmar. Well, you saw the bits. The bits for this thing are fantastic.
Is this the one with like its mouth like wide open with like a warp gate kind of looking thing?
Yes,
it looks like something out of a really bad Japanese movie
or a really good one.
I like it.
So I know the exact last time I saw this model was at 11th Company GT. It was my very first GT, and that was like 5-6 years ago or something. And one of these was on some dude's display board. That's the last time I've seen one of these in person.
Well, I haven't been playing a lot of Sigmar, so I don't know how prevalent they are or not there, but I have used the bits for many of my Demon Prince conversions and other little demon things or chaos things or whatever. It's a great model, and you can build it a couple of different ways if I remember right, but this is more of the warp beast. Well, it's called a vortex beast or whatever. It's the more the less defined version of
the kit. It's a dual kit. It makes the slaughter brute as well, which also looks awesome.
It does. The head for that thing is on my Mauler Fiends.
Oh, that's nice.
I mean, my 2 Mauler Fiends are it's the gatekeeper and the keymaster. So they're these big dogs, Whatever. Anyway, back to this thing. The Mutilated Vortex Beast. Its damage chart has it starts out with 14 wounds, and at full capacity it can move 8, has 4 attacks, and then does its vortex power on a 2+. It has a 5+ invulnerable save, and it also has mutant regeneration. At the beginning of each of your turns, this model regains 1 lost wound. So it's got that warp fiend, that Mauler Fiend type regenerative power. The warp vortex. At the start of each of your shooting phases, you may have this model attempt to use a single mutilative vortex power of your choice from the table below. Alternatively, you may randomly determine the power by rolling a d6, consulting the table below. If you do so, you may attempt a second randomly determined power immediately after resolving the first power.
Always roll.
Yet each time this model attempts to use one of its powers, roll a d6 to see if it's successful. If the result is equal to or greater than the vortex power characteristic shown in this damage table, resolve the power's effect. Otherwise, the attempt to use the power fails and nothing happens. So starting out, the vortex power is 2+, then it goes to 3+, then it goes to 4+, as it loses wounds.
That's pretty cool. I like that.
So I'll read through these quickly. I understand it's kind of boring to hear charts. But since this is brand new, we'll go ahead and do it. Number 1, each enemy unit within 9 inches suffers a mortal wound. Number 2, pick a Tzeentch unit from your army within 9 inches of the Vortex Beast. Add 1 to that unit's strength characteristic until the end of the turn. Number 3, pick a Tzeentch unit from your army within 9 inches. You can re-roll failed charge rolls for that unit this turn. If the unit is already within 1 inch of an enemy unit, they fight first in the fight phase as if they had charged this turn. So I think there's some ways to mess with that.
Nice.
Number 4, pick a Tzeentch unit from your army within 9 inches. Improve the AP for all melee weapons for this unit by 1 until the end of the turn. So those spears we were talking about earlier or whatever?
Yeah. This dude's like a lieutenant.
Well,
I like
you
Super
could pick
lieutenant.
that. Now remember, you could just pick that or roll twice.
Or go for 2.
Yeah, I'm rolling twice every time.
Number 5, pick an enemy unit within 9 inches. Reduce the leadership characteristic by 1 until the end of the turn. And then here's the beam of unreality.
I'm sold. That. I want that.
That thing.
Don't even care what it does.
It's not as crazy as it sounds. Roll 3 dice. For each roll of a 4+, the closest enemy unit within 18 inches of the Vortex Beast immediately suffers a mortal wound.
Those are all really, like, the first, okay, so 1 and 6 are cool because they're kind of like, shooting attacks. But, like, everything in between is purely there to buff assault units. So you need this thing near those Zangors.
Well, there's one
or whatever.
rule here, Troop. This may influence your opinion. The unstable energies. If the model has 7 or fewer wounds remaining at the start of your shooting phase, the ranges for the mutilative vortex powers are doubled. However, it will suffer a mortal wound if you roll a 1 when the model attempts to use a power.
I'm okay with all that.
Okay.
Yeah. I just like, it's so thematic with, the whole Tzeentch change thing is how this thing kind of just changes the way other units work. So he kind of just gets in there and changes the battle up just a little bit.
Yeah,
and looks good doing it.
As he's being beaten up and degraded, he gets a little bit more unstable. I'll take it.
Yeah.
I think this is going to be a fun dude to run. Like I said, with those Zangors, or as we delve through the book, if we find any other juicy assault units that we might be able to sneak in there. But he's going to be just exciting to run right next to him and just support them and do all these these fun, exciting things. I'm rolling twice just because it's going to be fun.
Well, why not, right? You might get something really good.
Yeah, I mean, okay, if I'm at the top table of, I don't know, like the Las Vegas Open in, a couple days here, maybe I might be picking my powers. But,
oh, yeah. Well, I think it's fun that you get the option.
Yes, the option.
Like, you should be like, I really need that AP extra 1 right now, so let me just do that instead of rolling twice.
Yeah.
Or early in the game, you'd be like, it's fun to roll, and then turn 3 and 4, 4 and 5, you pick.
Yeah, and then you might not know what the best choice is. And then that could, what? I really
back
don't
your
know.
way into it.
Yeah, I don't know what I need right now, so let's just go, let's deuce it up.
This thing has
can you do the same one twice?
If you rolled it twice, I believe you can.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah. I don't see anything here that says you can't roll the same thing twice.
Mm-hmm.
But it has 2 different melee attacks. The Betentacled Maw, which is what we were kindly referring to earlier. You can make 3 hit rolls for each attack with this weapon instead of 1. But it only hits, like its weapon skill, it hits on a 4+. So this is not your bruiser.
Okay.
And the enormous claws, it does a -2 AP 2 damage that you can do with its base attacks, and it starts out at full capacity at 4 attacks.
All right. Please tell me he is 170 points or less.
He is 150 points.
Oh, I love him.
Well, that's base. It does not include the war gear. So I don't know if the Botanicaled Maul.
It's like if that's 40 points, I'm gonna cry.
The Botanicaled Maul is 0 points.
Oh, I love it.
And the enormous claws.
Oh, come give me
is
zeros.
0 points.
Yes. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Listen to me, world.
By 4
and 50 points, and you don't put that model in your army. Shame on you.
Well, it's a heavy support, so that's not going to fit in everybody's list. But
I don't care. You bring in an auxiliary detachment.
They don't have havocs. There's your spot.
And bear in mind, I am basing this solely off of looks. Like, it's going to be fun. But that model should be in the
I could see if you build your list around, I'm going to pick this extra AP one every time, then maybe that's what you do.
But that's the thing. If you're putting a ton of Zangors down on the table, any buff over the court, like on a 5-man squad of like Marines or something, that one little buff ain't that big of a deal. But you got like 30 Zangors out there, and all of a sudden their AP just increased by 1. It pays off dividends it just pays better.
Well, let's think if you're like me and Morgan here, who roll a lot of 1s.
Yeah, you need
then
them.
Each unit within 9 inches or 18 inches, if it suffered 7 wounds, suffers mortal wounds.
Yeah, it's a true fact.
I'm just saying you play to your strengths.
Yeah.
I don't know. I
so
love
what
it.
you're saying is I need to collect 1,000 Suns instead of the 2+ armor safe custodians that I was thinking about.
Get both.
One thing to think about though is bravo GW for not just releasing another randomly posed sculpted dude and call him some crazy name, right? Death Guard got 150 new dudes that works just like this guy works, and all it is just a different sculpt of a dude in power armor that's walking around with his stomach hanging out. This is a unique new way to introduce those same kinds of concepts and buffing abilities with a model that we already have that's way freaking cooler.
It is. It's one that has not seen a lot of table presence. I really haven't seen him even casually in Sigmar, but he's been a bits factory.
Yeah.
But this might get him on the tabletop.
Yeah, their warehouse is empty right now.
It's just a good idea because they had the model, and from a business standpoint, it's genius. Give them rules, let them, sell that model that they have, that they've put the money into producing and everything. And guess what? Like we get that model in 40k, so everybody gets to enjoy that, and then that frees up capital to make more Dark Angels models later.
Well, let's think of it this way: that there's now multiple paths to building a 1,000 Suns list that you can focus on more of that kind of esoteric type mystical aspect of it instead of just dudes walking around, Rubric Marines walking around in power armor.
Yeah.
It breaks up your
blue chaos. Yeah.
There is a Zangor hero elite choice, also a single model, the Zangor Shaman. He has the Sorceress Elixir. You can reroll the first failed psychic test you make for this model. You can only use that once. And they have a Bestial Prophet rule, which is add 1 to any hit rolls you make for friendly Zangor units within 6 inches of the Zangor Shaman. So add 1 to the hit roll. So I'm seeing a thing here to where adding hit rolls, increasing the AP for cheap flying assault units.
You heard it here first. Buy them now.
I feel like that could be kind of good. I don't know.
Well, it depends on okay. How do you win games in 40K?
Roll
Don't
sixes.
roll ones.
Thanks.
That's that's the yin and yang of winning 40K, folks. Presented by Justin Troop and Ricky Addington.
You're welcome.
Roll
Show's
sixes
over.
and don't roll ones.
Wrap it up. I'm going home.
You've got to somehow distract the enemy while you complete your goals.
We have achieved Zen.
There are cultists in here, and then they've got the Zangors as troops, the regular old Zangor guys that have the bolt pistol and auto pistol, not a bolt pistol, and chainswords.
Yeah, chaff.
The chainsword gets the chainsword rule, so it's an extra attack. So the Zangors coming in at 2 attacks apiece in the assault phase.
Yeah, that's good. I like the fact that you're You're going to use them as a bubble wrap more than likely, but when your opponent gets too close, when you charge them, you get to use that, two striking thing and stuff like that. So it makes placement a little bit more. You have to think about it. Like, do I really want to be 9 inches away? Maybe fail that charge, and then they charge me, and then I get wiped out.
More special rules. So these are troop choices with several rules here. I think several useful rules.
So these aren't like the Poxwalkers, and they're not just.
No, they are the Poxwalker equivalent. These guys are 7 points apiece, though, so slightly more expensive, and that's without war gear. I don't. Auto pistol is 0 and a chainsword is 0.
Yeah.
So take that for what it is. The Zangor blades are also 0, which is one of their options, but the chainsword gives them an extra attack, so give them 2 attacks, but then they have the Aura of Dark Glory, giving them a 5+ invulnerable save. They have a Brayhorn. Add 1 to the advance and charge rolls for a unit that includes a Brayhorn.
Yeah, what is with Tzeentch and being assaulting? I like it.
Getting in there, man. The Brayhorn is 10 points, though, if that matters. And then they have the Relic Hunters rule. You can re-roll failed hit rolls in the fight phase for this unit when targeting a character.
Ooh.
They do hit on a 3+ weapon skill, 4+ ballistic skill.
Wow.
They ain't no slouch, are they? I mean, they're going to die, but I mean, they're going to do some work when they go in. I mean, they have
a 6+ armor save and then a 5+ invulnerable save.
That invul is going to play a factor. Yeah, that's dope.
And like Troop said, if you roll all 6s, that's a win.
Yeah, get good.
Yeah, that's right. Just roll 6s, man. Well, let's take a quick break. So we covered some of the new stuff, new unit choices in the Thousand Suns. So let's take a quick break. We'll come back and jump back into this.
Right on.
FTN is brought to you by Bell of Lost Souls. Check out www.bols.org for the best daily hobby articles on the web.
Hey everybody, we are back. So got the whole crew here. I want to start talking about Ahriman. Ahriman, his new model is awesome. Now, let's also point out that there are no new models coming out. There are new models that you can take as a result of this codex, but there are no new models coming out because of this codex. But most of these models are barely a year old.
It's their birthday. You got a codex. Be happy.
I know, I'm jazzed, but Ahriman, the new model of Ahriman, what I like about the Thousand Suns models is that they're supposed to be these giant, Magnus is the red one-eyed giant, is whatever. But the models, as translated out to his sons too, where the models are actually bigger than a lot of the other Chaos Space Marines. They're probably about the size of Primaris Space Marines.
I think I've only ever seen them on the table once since they came out.
The Ahriman model is way bigger than his original sculpt.
Oh, yeah.
Put him on the disc. Now, Ahriman has the Sigil Corruption, which gives him a 4+ invulnerable save. He's got the Lord of the Thousand Suns. You can reroll hit rolls of 1 for made with friendly Thousand Suns units within 6 inches of Ahriman. He can manifest 3 psychic powers and deny 3 psychic powers.
That's really strong.
Yeah, that comes up. That's one of those things that just subtly helps you win a game.
Well, I mean, just think of how uncommon it is to deny more than 1 psychic power, right? I mean,
that's fair.
Even the chief librarians of most of the Space Marine chapters, they can deny 2 at best.
Well, Ahriman on a disc of Tzeentch is 166 points. And Ahriman without the disc is 131 points, which is cheaper than Mephiston, but he has more kind of passive defensive abilities than Mephiston.
Yeah, he's got that 4+ invulnerable, which, I mean, it matters.
Well, if you make him the Warlord, his Warlord traits increases his invulnerable save by 1.
So he's got a 3+. Yeah,
if you make him the Warlord. Strong.
I'm making him my Warlord.
And he has the Arch Sorcerer of Tzeentch rule. You can add 1 to any psychic test or deny the Witch test when you take Ahriman.
Yeah, He's a bit more survivable. How is his hitting power though? Attacks, and damage.
It's all right. He hits on a 2+, and he can take powers from the Change discipline or the Dark Hereticus discipline. He doesn't get the Tzeentch discipline. I mean, he has the Black Staff of Ahriman, which is +2 strength, -1 AP, and 3 damage. So not terrible, but it's only strength 6, -1 AP.
And he's not that unwieldy hitter.
Yeah, there's no unwieldy that though. I mean, that'll sneak up on you.
4 attacks apiece. I mean, he could just poke him in.
Yeah.
Rerolling 1. So he is hitting on 2s, rerolling 1. So he's going to get all those hits.
I mean, if he's near our Mutalith Vortex Beast, then that becomes AP -2.
That's if you target him as the target,
going for it.
I don't know that I'd do that on just,
No.
but I don't know that I wouldn't either. It's nice to have the option, right?
Yeah. I don't hate 3 damage on his staff though, and not unwieldy. I mean, that's
It's straight 3 damage.
Yeah, just straight 3 damage.
Yeah, that's beast mode, man.
That's real good. I mean, that's one of the unfortunate things about, if we're still comparing him to Mephiston. Yeah, Mephiston's swinging at strength 10, and that's fantastic. He's wounding anything on 2s, but in the first round of combat. But he's got that D3 damage, and he doesn't have an invulnerable save. So who in these in this combat wins a fight?
That's a good question. And he does have the Inferno Bolt Pistol. The same with like the Rubik Marines that have the Inferno Bolters. They are neg 2 AP. That will matter also.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's a good slugfest.
And most importantly, he looks awesome. And call me crazy, but I think that Ahriman model looks cooler than the Magnus model.
I agree. I'm of that thought process as well.
Are you guys building your Magnus like the pro wrestler? Because that's my favorite.
Shirtless, or like, are you going horn nipples?
Are you building him like 80s wrestler with just the trunks?
No, like I like the armor,
or like the Road Warriors or whatever.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just maybe it's just because I see Magnus so much.
They're
I'm
both
kind of
cool. Magnus is a cool model.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just it's such a great plastic. I mean, the sheer
Detail
plastic detail there.
Yeah, there's
but
so much.
Aramin's a cool model too. Like, I mean, he's never not been a cool model. If you ask me, even the Metal Sculpt is good.
Yeah, it's dated. He needed an update.
Well, he's got it.
Yeah, that new one is chock full of detail. I love the pose on it. It looks great. He's intimidating.
I love the disc.
Yeah.
Well,
the disc.
Yeah,
is
the
so
disc.
cool.
And it's got the disc have the blades rule. After a model on this mount makes like close combat attacks, you can attack with this mount, make one additional attack using the weapon profile. So it essentially gives him one more attack.
Yeah.
Now it's not as cool. It's his strength 4, 1 damage, no AP, but it's still another attack. I mean, thinking you're going to be winning most things on 5s.
Yeah, I mean, don't look a gift horse in the mouth. I wish my jump packs on my Space Marines gave me an extra attack. So,
and they do have Death of the False Emperor, and I think if we actually have Ahriman fighting Mephiston in a 1-on-1 combat, the Death of the False Emperor and the Invulnerable Save and the 3 straight damage might give him the edge.
So he's got the -1 AP on the staff?
It is -1 AP, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, Mephiston's going to have a 3+ save against that, much like Ahriman. If he's the Warlord, he'll have a 3+ save. Now, Mephiston will ignore, say on average, 1 wound out of every 3 damage attack that gets through his armor, because of his Lord of Death rule. Does Ahriman have anything that lets him ignore damage?
Not on his base stats here, no.
And he's got, 6 wounds? 5 wounds?
5 wounds.
5 wounds. Oh, that's tough. Because Ahriman, he's strength +1 with his staff in combat?
Yes.
All right, so he's wounding on
plus
4s.
2. He's strength 6.
Strength +2. Okay, so he's strength 6. So he's wounding on 3s. So that'll matter. Mephiston's wounding on 2s. So it's tough. I think it's a lot of it would probably come down to psychic powers.
Well, Ahriman being able to deny 3 with a +1. Now Mephiston gets a +1 also because it's Psychic Hood, but he can only deny 2. Now let's be real though. I'm cool with Ahriman stacking up well against Mephiston. These are both like Marine juggernauts.
Yeah, these guys are wrecking balls.
Well, I mean, they're skilled. They have a presence that should give them some ability in close combat. But we're using Mephiston as our known face beater, and how well he stacks up against Ahriman.
So if they're in a 1-on-1 fight, at the same time, there are jobs that they will definitely do differently. Mephiston is going to be able to put wounds on vehicles easier than someone like Ahriman, for example, because we have to look at everything in a kind of a holistic sense, right?
Yeah, that's fair.
So there's different strengths and advantages to each one, and in a 1-on-1 fight, I feel like it's going to come down to luck. It's going to come down to luck, and that's awesome.
I mean, that.
Yeah, the role I don't think is to be in that 1-on-1 fight. I think it's just giving him the teeth if you're in that situation. He's definitely there to manipulate some things and dish out some buffs and whatnot.
Well, in some of these armies, where you have to make a choice. Do you want a grinder character? Do you want a character that's utility, or do you want one that can actually do something? Ahriman fills both of those roles. He's not a Malefic Lord. He's not a Primaris Psyker. He doesn't have to hang out in the back. Like if somebody gets close to Ahriman could easily scoot over there and beat him down. And I like that about him.
Yeah, he's just tough enough and powerful enough to where you got to think twice about what you charge him with. There are some there's some characters out there you're just going to charge them. It doesn't matter what, because you're probably going to do some work. But against Ahriman, he could like potentially gut whatever you send in against it. So you really got to worry about that. So, like you said, he's got enough teeth that you don't have to be scared to send him up there and get him into the thick of it. And that's I like characters like that you don't have to be scared to push up and get them into where you're rolling dice.
For not a ton of points.
Yeah.
They got Demon Princes in here. So Demon Princes is Zinch. Demon Princes are good. They are great for counter assault. They're great for assault. They do all kind of stuff. They do get to take the Discipline of Change or Dark Hereticus, and or Zinch. So that's one thing about the demons in here. They can take the Discipline of Zinch if they get the Psychic Power. The Exalted Sorcerers have a stat line very similar to Ahriman. And they also get 4 staves, which are +2 strength, but they have the D3 damage instead of Ahriman's all the time 3 damage. They do have an invulnerable. They have a 5+ invulnerable save. So they're not as good as Ahriman. I don't mean to say that. They just have a similar stat bundle, a similar number of rules to Ahriman. But the Exalted
Ahriman in training.
Yeah, they wish to be Ahriman one day, but they
How many points for a sorcerer?
That's a good question. But I was going to point out they do give the reroll hit rolls of 1, much like a captain does in their army. So I think that's pretty good.
Okay, that's a change. Yeah. Okay.
So the Exalted Sorcerers are 112 points. That's kind of in the librarian range.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right about there.
But they've got the aura, the buff aura, and that's without war gear. So you still have to buy their pistols and staff and stuff. So the force stave is 8 points, and the Inferno bolt pistol is 1 point. So you can kind of do them on the cheap.
Yeah, you're getting a librarian and a captain all in one there.
Yeah. Flood the field with a couple of them and stuff like that. Yeah, these are going to be fun. The army, as we're progressing through the book more and more, I really like the dynamic of how the army really moves together as a cohesive unit too. That's pretty interesting to like its play style in comparison to its old.
You jump up there like the Zinch guys. You kind of maybe expect them to sit back. Whatever, but these guys are all
a little bit more of a hunkered down kind of thing.
Well, I guess the Rupert Marines are all kind of slow. I mean, are they slow? I shouldn't say they're all kind of slow, but let me check and see.
Well, they used to be, yeah.
Yeah,
one of the
Terminators
things
were 4 and 5
about Thousand Suns in the past was just this very points intensive, low model count elite army that didn't hold up under tons of little shots. The efficiencies really struggled. And what I think the Zangors and the other things have done to the army list in general, especially emphasized by changes in the way 8th edition works, is the Zangors have opened up the ability to increase your model count. When you increase your model count, there's a ton of different benefits that come from that. And it allows a little bit of different flexibility in roles.
That's a great point. That's a very good point. Is that the fact that you get access to things that increase your model count, but they're also capable of doing damage. I mean, and they're kind of defensive
and you're not
too.
Sacrificing your faction keywords for it either.
I mean, yeah, with their with their invulnerable saves and plentiful nature, I mean, you're going to be able to do things on the table that are going to make it difficult for your opponent to get the advantage on you in the game.
And don't underestimate the ability of a Zangor, a unit of Zangors to, just sit on an objective. Because at the end of the day, if all things being equal, those Zangors have more models, so higher model count trumps.
These guys are not immune to morale. Like the Zangors have the leadership 7 on the champion, leadership 6 otherwise. So I'm not trying to point out the fact that these guys are invulnerable and the be all are that they don't have weaknesses. But you're at least your opponent will have to force you to exploit those weaknesses. You're not sitting around, with inherently unable to compete in the 8th edition format because you have just a lower model count by dictated to you.
Right. But their ability, what I was getting at though, is just their ability to like sit on and maybe snatch an objective up. Like they're not going to be able to sit there on it forever. But they can come in and steal one from, you got a 5-man Terminator squad sitting on that thing, but you really need those points. You can scooch right over there on it, and you'll lose some of them the next turn. But
the Zangors are Heretic Astartes, and the reason that I'm pointing that out is because things like Warp Time will be able to cast on them.
Oh, nice.
So if you've got the Zangors with the disc, the Zangor Enlightens that are moving 12, they are also Heretic Astartes. So you got some get over there power, even if you're walking with a 5-inch moving shaman or sorcerer or whatever.
Yeah. Gosh, the Zangors, other than people on discs, the Zangors are about the fastest thing in the in the Codex. And are the Rubric Marines still 5-inch move?
They are 5-6, yeah.
Yeah, and 4 or 5 on the Terminators.
I love it.
Yeah, one of the warlord traits in here for Thousand Sons is the arrogance of aeons. You can reroll failed deny the witch test for this warlord.
Man,
thematic.
Yeah, I mean, but it just builds to the power of some of those other units more and more, and I really like the cohesiveness of it too. You know, like this is really, my eyes have kind of been open to list design, thinking about everything that we're discussing. Now you can build a full force of these, but I still think that Chaos specifically, they fight the same things. We want to build dynamic lists with multiple unit entries and multiple battalions and detachments if we can. And I think that the sheer teeth and the speed and the complexity that these guys are offering can really hunker down some of these other lists that kind of sat back a little bit more and maybe earn their points that way and kind of relied on a few other things. These guys are giving you that forward advance that lets you interact with your opponent more. Really digging what they're accomplishing with this book.
Well, especially being like with progressive objectives now being a core part of the game.
Oh, very much so, yeah.
Being able to move around and still do things, not give up some of your abilities while you're moving around is good. Another one of the warlord traits, I know going down the list is not exciting, but I want to point out some of the ones that I think really matter, especially when we're talking about like doing things that you might not have expected to do with your Thousand Sons. The Undying Form, reduce all damage suffered by your warlord by 1 to a minimum of 1. So get a little aggressive with him. And here's the Aether Stride. Your warlord can advance, charge in the same turn, and re-roll failed charge rolls.
Yet again, we're charging. Corn, I don't know if you got the message, but take a seat, buddy.
Don't get too close to Zinch, because you might get snatched.
He loves sitting on his throne of skulls. Don't,
Somehow Zinch got all of the assault abilities.
I love it. I mean, it's just fun because that's not what you think they should be doing, but they're still casting powers. They're still being very heavy in the psychic phase, but man, are they competing in the punch phase.
Yeah. Now, you said Magnus had his assigned, and was Ahriman's warlord trait assigned? He's named, so his warlord trait's assigned too? Is that correct?
And he gets to improve his invulnerable save by 1 to a maximum of 3+. And that is one of the warlord traits you can get.
Okay.
The other one that we haven't talked about is the High Magister. Add 1 to any psychic test you take for your warlord.
I don't get it. Why is that one in here? Really? I mean...
They've got some. I mean, every single one of these warlord traits, I think, is applicable, is playable.
Yeah. I mean, me personally, the re-rolling Deny the Witch, I think, is super fun. Unfortunately, though, I would have liked to have seen it on Ahriman.
Ahriman or Magnus.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, could you imagine denying 3 and re-rolling?
Well, I do. Personally, I think that they might have gone a little bit too far with Magnus. With how far they push some
in the
of
other direction,
his rollbacks, right? Yeah. So, but I don't know. I think it would be amazing if he had the reroll Deny the Witch, instead of the no 1 additional psychic power.
Yeah, it would shut down. It would shut down psycho heavy lists. I mean, think about it. Like when you're running those like heavy psychic lists, and you have this strategy. You got to do this, and this to get off your just total beat stick attack, and then all of a sudden here you come and you lose 1. Then all of a sudden it's
Well,
but
Magnus,
still go through.
if you are taking Magnus though, he is harder to deny because he has the +2.
No, what I'm saying is with Magnus having the ability to deny 3. Right. His abilities to do that can really shut down psycho heavy lists and really mitigate the damage.
And his warlord ability to know 1 additional psychic power is good, considering he has, again, 18 to choose from to pick you're going to get there's no excuse for you not having every tool you need to influence the game, no matter who you're playing.
Yeah.
So there's a benefit to that. It's again, I would for straight OP, Timmy Power Gamer style, I would like him to have another warlord trait, but there's still some utilitarian function from that warlord trait that is playable. Like I said, every single one of these warlord traits is usable. So the Thousand Suns have 3 pages of stratagems.
Jeez.
Holy cow.
But that's a little bit of an exaggeration because the Chaos Boon table takes up a whole column. And they have the Boon of Tzeentch is one of your 1 command point stratagems. But then there's also in here, I should have talked about this earlier, but there is the Webway Infiltration stratagem. This is the one that lets you deep strike in a Thousand Suns infantry unit.
Now, what I immediately think of with this is those warp flamers. Like if you're dropping in an infantry unit,
with the
Thousand Suns, yeah, with the flamers, and you're warp timing them forward and just burning the crap out of something.
These Zangors are also Thousand Suns.
Are the warp flamers? Are they Tzeentch or are they Thousand Suns?
Oh, he's talking about the gun. Sorry, Chris. Are you talking about the weapon that's on the
Yeah, I'm talking about the weapon that you can put on your Thousand Suns Rubric Marines.
Yeah, it's the Warp Flamer, which is a 8-inch Assault D6 weapon.
Okay,
which
gotcha.
is Strength 4, AP -2.
Yeah, damage 1 automatically hits, but it's only 8 inches, so if you come in 9 inches away...
Yeah.
So it requires a bit of support.
It requires to nudge
little
your models one.
Yeah, you scream, "What's that?" and then push your models forward. That's weird.
But Overwatch, though, only Overwatch.
So the Overwatch is solid, but again, you warp time these guys. They walk forward. Everybody's within range now.
That's a good point.
Okay, there, yeah,
you're going to get that
now
off.
I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's not like I'm saying, all right, deep strike a unit full of hand flamers. Ooh.
But
remember when that was...
Give me
what you
some
did?
credit, Ricky.
I
should say
felt
what
like
you
you
did.
left a vital component of that out, in which I was, for me to
No,
agree.
I said it. I said the warp time.
I just heard the warp flamers. I was like, I don't think that'll
Look,
work.
we're excited. I will say though that warp time and the Dark Hereticus discipline in this book specifically calls out that you cannot use warp time on a unit more than once per psychic phase. Now, that has nothing to do with what you were talking about, but while we mentioned warp time, I wanted to point that out. Like, I guess that's in there for narrative and open play.
Yeah, that's the only way. Yeah, got it.
Otherwise, you're just Benny Hilling the models across the table with 3 different strikers.
I don't see anything wrong with that.
Go for it.
Yeah, the Zangor flying guys are specifically not infantry, but the Zangor walking guys. I know we're just talking about combos to do. I apologize, but I wanted to point out that that this deep strike ability specifically only affects infantry models. There's been a lot of chatter about how to deep strike Primarchs, and you can't do it with this either. And there's no back end, there's no way around it in this book. There's no stratagem that allows you to deep strike Magnus.
Yeah, with that FAQ that came out for demons, that I think we were all expecting. They've made the intent very clear that that's not what they want these models used for.
Look, I'm just going to say this. If you want to deep strike Magnus in within 12 inches of my Hellblasters, you go right ahead.
No,
Because I got a stratagem to deal with that.
here's a stratagem, and I know we're talking a lot about Zangors, but there's a lot to talk about them. All right,
They're so zangery.
the Cycle of Slaughter. Use this stratagem at the end of your fight phase. Select a Zangor unit from your army. The unit can immediately fight an additional time. This is 2 command points.
Yes! Dude!
These guys are better than
Zangor's in the
Khorne.
new Death Company!
I love it. These guys are better than Khorne.
Horton's going to be so mad. He's going to be painting all of his
Except
demons
they're
like
blue.
blue.
No, he's got. Remember, one of his hobby projects this year is 99 or 88 or whatever.
I think 88.
No, it's 99 because Tzeentch is 9. The number of Tzeentch is 9, so it's 99 Zangors.
Well, he's got a head start then. Because,
He better put some of them on disc.
Yeah, better get to work.
So this stratagem got mentioned on the community site, and that's the flesh change. And I want to at least give my opinion on this. Use this stratagem at the start of any phase. Pick a Thousand Suns infantry character from your army, period. That character is slain, but you can add a chaos spawn to your army. If you do so, set up the chaos spawn within 6 inches of the character before removing them as a casualty, period. A chaos spawn created in this manner must have the Tzeentch keyword and does not cost any reinforcement points in a match play game. So after this circulated its way around the internet, there's been a lot of people thinking that you can do this to your own character and not give up a warlord point or whatever one of those objectives is.
says he's slain, though,
That
right?
is completely and totally wrong. Completely, and again, this is one man's opinion, apparently two-man, Ricky's opinion as well. No matter if a character is slain, it gives up, if anything is slain, it gives up, and there's an objective point attached to it, you give up those points. So be very careful when you do this.
Yeah, I don't think people are going to be doing it outside of narrative play or even inside of that, because who wants to turn into a chaos spawn?
Well, when you get down to one wound and you're maybe surrounded
Yeah.
by 5 guardsmen or something on an objective, I don't know.
There's times where a one wound dude is just not better than a fully
But
chaos spawn. He's got multiple wounds. He's got decent movement. His attack profile isn't terrible. He can get in there and tar pit something, like a lieutenant or anything like that. He shut down stuff like that. The spawn are not great, but they are not terrible in certain situations like that.
Yeah, well,
I agree
I'll
with
give you
Chris
that. But what I think is we are seeing a definite trend from Games Workshop when it comes down to people that are trying to split hairs like this and force the issue on something. Like, you guys have got to be getting used to being let down by now, right?
That was you eloquently put my counter argument in the discussion that I had about this. I was not as gentle when I was discussing.
I just want to say, you guys need to just come to grips with the fact that the abusive things that you're trying to pull off with these rules are not going to happen for more than maybe a week and a half.
Well, I mean, on the other side of it, though, I'm playing devil's advocate here, so forgive me. Just as rules is written interpretations of things, sometimes the way it is written is open to abuse or open to wonky things. I shouldn't say abuse. It's open to utilizing in a way that is what others might be considered a power gamer way, but that's what it says.
The screws aren't tightened all the way.
In this case, that's just what a slain model is, a slain model, and that's just it. But it is for any Thousand Sons infantry character, so it could be for, like, I don't ever foresee myself turning Airman into a chaos spawn, but maybe I turn, one of the weaker characters into something for whatever.
Is there like a dirt cheap?
Is there a
if
dirt
you have your
cheap
opponents
too?
on the ropes and you want to, just like troll them, be like, all right, I'm already winning, but I have some leftover command points. I don't need him to kill you, and Armin's a spawn.
Wait, hey, do me a favor. Read it to me again. The stratagem. How does
you turn a character into a spawn?
But I'm sorry. When? At what point does that happen?
At the start of any phase.
At the start of
any phase, not turn. Any phase.
The reason I was asking was I was wondering if you could make your attacks and then kill him and turn him into a spawn. And he would
consolidate or something.
He would be a new thing who would consolidate. That's why I was asking. But it's at the beginning of the phase, so you couldn't even use it for that. That's just what I wanted to
A spawn is 33 points, and none of the HQs or troops are anywhere close to 33 points.
Yeah.
Or characters, like the shaman. The Zangor shaman is a 82-point elite unit that is a single model, and he might not even be an infantry, but I'm pretty sure he is.
Yeah, I think the only reason you would ever do it, down to one wound or something, and wanted to just
now, if it was any model, turn a rhino into a spawn real quick or whatever, after he drops the troops off, and now he's a spawn. Yeah. Although you never want to do that because you want to put 2 combi bolters on every single one of your rhinos, turning it into a gun platform.
Yeah, right.
Yes,
8th edition.
You win.
Nobody ever took that extra storm bolter or combi bolter, and now it's oh gosh, I got to go back and put extra bolters on all of my rhinos.
Dude, the struggle is real going back and finding all those old vehicle sprues that have, it's like a whole sprue and you've got one storm bolter bit hanging on there somewhere.
Under your bed or something.
Yeah.
The best 2 points in the game. Hands down.
Yeah. Who doesn't pay that?
There's a baleful vortex stratagem that says you can use a mutilith vortex power even if you've used it before. That might lead it. Maybe we missed something we were reading it before about not being able to do the same thing twice. But this one would let you do it again. Roll a d6 randomly, select the mutilith vortex power. The mutilith vortex beast immediately uses the power rolled, even if it has already used that power this phase. Furthermore, the power is automatically successful. There's no need to roll for it.
I think that just means they could have a third one. If you chose to roll, you could roll the twice and then pay a stratagem and roll up to a third time.
It could be. I mean, that's again,
That's
we're kind of looking at it as this is our first glance.
Yeah, that's the way that reads to me.
So the Vengeance of Prospero probably reads exactly like it sounds. It's good for hunting space wolves. Use this stratagem just before the Thousand Sun unit from your army fights in the fight phase until the end of the phase. That unit's Death to the False Emperor ability triggers on a 4+ instead of a 6+ for attacks that target a space wolves unit.
Man, I love it.
And that's Thousand Suns unit. It's not infantry or whatever. It's just Thousand Suns unit. That could be Magnus.
It's not going to be Magnus, though. It's going to be our Zangor spam super assault unit that's coming across the table with warp time.
Yeah, you're probably right.
It's happening.
There are some of the stratagems that we've come to know and love from Chaos Space Marine books. The Kill Shot, Veterans of the Long War. Those are two stratagems in here. And then you can get extra relics, Linebreaker Bombardment, Fire Frenzy, Demon Forge, those things.
Well, they get Kill Shot, so, I mean, I stand by it. Strongest stratagem
There's
in
a
the game.
3 command point stratagem called the Corsicating Beam. Use this stratagem in the shooting phase if you have a Thousand Suns Warlord that did not move during your movement phase. Instead of shooting with your Warlord's weapon, pick 2 points on the battlefield that are 9 inches apart from and visible to him and draw an imaginary straight line 1 millimeter wide between them. Roll a d6 for each unit that the center line passes over, subtracting 1 for the result if the unit being rolled for is a character. On a 4+, the unit being rolled for suffers D3 mortal wounds.
It's like
that
new
was
Jaws.
a lot of words for D3 mortal wounds.
It's 3 command points, only used once per battle.
That's a little expensive.
Yeah, I would rather have orbital bombardment.
I don't think it's going to be as complicated as you're making it out to be. I do think though it is a lot of steps to do D3 mortal wounds.
The reason I think it is because I did it. There was that like Astra Militarum power, and I had it for ATC, and I was that guy doing that. Like, if I can
see, and this is important because if this weekend while I'm judging LVO, I'm called to arbitrate something like that, don't call me to arbitrate something like that.
No, you need to go find a stick that is 1 millimeter wide.
What, to beat people with?
It'd be more like a whip at that
in the
point.
eye with it.
Gosh, guys, listen. All right, real talk here. Do not call judges over for that kind of crap. Like if you were going to split hairs like that.
Don't be that guy.
It's like, so you want an automatic thumbs down? You're going to argue with me about this?
Let me jump over to. There are more stratagems, of course, and we have not gotten over to even all of the Thousand Suns straight stratagems. We'll have to talk more about that in a follow-up show. Again, guys, believe me, I know there's a lot of content, and we're promising more content, and it's coming. But I want to talk about one of the relics. This is the Athenian Scrolls. If you roll a double when making a successful psychic test for the bearer, your opponent cannot attempt to resist the psychic power with a Deny the Witch test or negate it by any means.
Dang.
That's pretty cool, yeah.
Yeah, note that the Psyker will suffer a Perils of the Warp on a roll of a double 1 or double 6, and if slain by Perils of the Warp, the power they were trying to manifest will still automatically fail. So, but any doubles, says if you roll a double when making a successful, no deny.
That's pretty cool. I mean, gosh, it ain't going off a lot. What is it to roll a double? 1 in 36? I'm 2d6. I think
sounds right. I mean,
feels
if you play Monopoly, it comes up all the time. I mean, people go to. How many times in the game of Monopoly does somebody go to jail for rolling doubles 3 times in a row?
I don't even know. That
it's
feels
a lot.
like a house
Seems
rule.
to happen a lot.
Are we sure it's not a house rule?
It might. I don't know. Look, that's what. Okay, let's just say how we play.
That's how you form a monopoly, is you create house rules that people just follow because they can't litigate themselves out of that trouble.
That's the true way to win a monopoly.
I feel like it's in a book somewhere. But I'm saying, look, I think that's a neat relic.
It's neat. Yeah, it's definitely neat. And when it goes off, you're going to be like, you're going to just think you're the greatest sorcerer.
Yeah, especially when you like smite for 3 wounds on somebody and they can't deny it.
No, that's fun.
Yeah, I mean, remember that the sorcerers also get, like most of them are going to get to pick from 12 powers. So there's going to be some utility here for them to do. And I just thought it was neat to, try to roll a double, especially if you're casting a couple powers a turn, maybe get it off.
Yeah, my luck, it would, I would roll the doubles like when I'm just buffing my own unit.
It's double ones, and then you die, and then it doesn't go off.
Oh, well.
You just spent your last command point.
The master at rolling double 2s.
Yahtzee.
But that's all I want to cover for Thousand Suns currently. Chris and I
You can't give us one more relic. Give us one more relic.
Since you asked, Ricky. Since you asked.
We can't go out on that relic, which is...
That's a good relic.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay.
All right, the prismatic staff.
Oh, this one sounds good.
With
Here it
force
is.
staves only. The prismatic staff replaces the bearer's force staff and has the following profile: +2 strength, -1 AP, D3. The bearer can shoot and charge during its turn in which it fell back.
You didn't go with that one? You didn't lead with that one? I can fall back and charge again into another unit.
And shoot, yeah.
And shoot. And you went with... Okay, I got you. No,
I think the Athenian scrolls are pretty good.
I hope your opponent, like the next time you play, pulls that on you, falls out of combat, charges into another combat, and beats you down with their staff.
There are 4 more relics here that I might have misjudged also.
Wow.
So, okay, now, Grant, you guys have been listening to me talk about it or whatever. What do you guys think of the book?
I will never live this down when my friends hear me say this, but I'm excited about this book.
All right, since you're excited about it, I'm going to read the Dark Matter Crystal.
Oh, God.
Stay excited, Ricky. We're going to get all of them out of him.
Do this.
Once per battle, at the end of your movement phase, you can select the bearer or a friendly Thousand Sons infantry unit within 12 inches of him. That's pretty, well, within 12 inches of him is pretty big. Remove that unit from the battlefield and immediately set it up anywhere on the battlefield that is more than 9 inches away from any enemy models. This does not count as falling back if the unit was within 1 inch of enemy models.
Again, you went with... You went with what you went with instead of either of those options.
Well, the fact that it doesn't count as falling back.
They can charge,
They can charge.
This is how you build the suspense, Ricky. Come on.
Built, and maybe bought. Like, I may have to...
You better get some Zangors.
I do love blue.
And you better
He's
get a sorcerer
angry.
that you can get this Dark Matter Crystal on, and the scrolls, and the staff. So you got to build something that at least with 2 extra command points you can burn on relics.
Yeah,
No kidding. Yeah, that's...
And hope your opponent doesn't notice you put them all on the same guy. We are not advocating that people try and do that.
No. That's a pretty good relic, too.
Yeah, it is.
Well, think about it this way. How many times do you find yourself picking a relic that may not come up in the battle?
Never.
Well, it happens sometimes. It's not often, but there are some armies that that does occur to. But
thankfully, not mine anymore.
Well, right, yeah. With Blood Angels, you got to pay combat or command points for this.
Yeah, it's cool. It's much better than the Dark Angels relics. I'm more exciting, I think. What I like about these relics is how, or at least the second two, not that first one. The first one, you're rolling dice there, but like the ability to move a unit out and then recharge.
Hit and run. It's hit and run.
Yeah. It's think back to 7th edition on how annoying hit and run was, and just how angry you got when your opponent
when you pulled off a sweet hit and run. It felt like you were cheating.
Yeah, you were like, I am the king of Warhammer.
Yeah,
right?
it's like, oh, look at what I just did. And your opponent's over there chewing glass.
Yeah, granted, I was down at like table 30 or so when I did it, but at that moment, I was on table 1. I was like, yeah.
I'm talking about my Super Friends list. When like you pop that hit and run and go over there and just like Voltron out and did all this stuff, and it felt like you were cheating when you pulled off a sweet hit and run. And those effects have been greatly diminished in the game.
Yeah,
but here's a new way to do it.
Now you got Super Zangors buffing up with their Mutalith.
Well, think about then the way the book progressive works. Like progressive objectives work, it's at the end of the phase or at the end of the turn that you're on the objective. So you I get it. You've manipulated. I was going to say changed your opponent. I was looking for a Zinch. Chris, help me out with the Zinch pun. You manipulated your opponent into coming and getting you over in this other area of the board. Then you send them way on over and grab an objective.
Yeah, it's amazing how you can change the flow of battle.
That wasn't Chris level.
I know. I was doing what I can. Look, dude, it's what?
You got to be a little bit more subtle about it.
It's 12:30 at night, man. I'm doing what I can.
Well, that's where we'll pause right here. Chris and I will be at the LVO this weekend. I'm getting it on Thursday. Really excited about hanging out with everybody.
Yeah, we've got the GW seminars going to be kicking off on Thursday night. There's supposed to be a lot of cool reveals and stuff going on, so I would say stay tuned for our after stream chat together.
Yeah, we might do that live to Facebook. Now, when people hear this, it will be on Saturday, so the tournament will already been started and that'll all be happening. But I think we'll try to stream out to Facebook, Chris, and talk about what we can. Now, we can't always say, like Games Workshop asked attendees to be somewhat discreet about some of the stuff they reveal, so we'll definitely talk about the stuff that we can.
Yeah, and the hype will be there, and it'll be up on Facebook even on Saturday. So
yeah.
Check it out. It's going to be a real fun weekend. We've got this crazy huge convention hall that's just going to be full of great 40k events left and right. I'm very excited for this weekend. Put a lot of work into it, and it's bigger and better than it's ever been.
You're going to be probably pulled in 100 different directions, literally, being a judge for the event. I'm going to be competing in the event, playing Blood Angels.
I'm going to be keeping a close eye on you, Paul Murphy.
Well, let's see how I'm rolling. Could take care of itself.
All I'm saying is I want my Fire Raptor to be, taken very, very good care of.
Oh, I hope it takes good care of me. I did post my list up on YouTube, so if you guys are watching this on YouTube, check out the video, the quick video I did about the list, and the list is posted in the description of that video, and I'll try to post a link in this video. I'm happy with the list. The list has a lot of tools in it, and I'm looking forward to see how it plays out over the course of the weekend.
Yeah, I like your list quite a bit, and not just because my Fire Raptor's in it. I like that you're playing with the Inceptors and the Aggressors and the Intercessors. I like that you're bringing Primaris out and saying, all right, let's compete with this. Because, LVO, it is an extremely competitive event. So you're going to be tested against some of the good stuff out there.
Hey, I like how you say that, like the Inceptor is like he's almost playing down a little, but I just had my butt handed to me a little this afternoon with 6 Inceptors dropping down with those bolters.
That's what I'm taking.
Oh my gosh, dude, that will delete
I'm not talking
units.
down about it at all. I'm just this is our response to people talking about Primaris Marines like they don't matter.
They matter.
Like they do.
Yeah, 100% they matter. Yeah, I agree.
I'm pumped, guys.
And not just with Gilliman.
Yeah. I mean, we all know Gilliman, but you don't have to have him there for them to be a real threat. Primaris Marines are a threat. They can really do some work on the table.
Well, awesome. Please, if you haven't already, give us a 5-star review in iTunes. Give us a like here, wherever you're hearing this and stuff. Share the stuff. Look forward to talking to you more about this. And please look for our live stream coverages to our Facebook page from when we can. Now, internet signal being what it is, time being it is, but we'll try to get as much info as we can from the weekend.
That's right. And if you guys see us, come up and say hi.
Please do. Good night, everybody.
Cheers.
Good night.
Go ahead, make my day.